Hi. Welcome to Why Is It So Hard to Change Part 2. Now, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the loop of stress and survival. People, when something happens, tend to replay that event over and over because their stress response is trying to keep them alert, telling them to remember it so they can be prepared if it happens again. Over time, most people end up spending the majority of their lives in survival mode, constantly expecting the worst based on what they have experienced in the past. Out of all the possible outcomes, they keep focusing on the negative ones and not the positive ones, and emotionally attaching to them through fear and gradually training their body to stay in that fearful state. Repeat this often enough, and the body begins to react on its own. You may suddenly feel overwhelmed or anxious without warning because it has been subconsciously conditioned that way. So, if you ask someone, why are you this way? Most people will say because of something that happened to me a few years ago. But if you really look at it, what they are saying is they haven't actually moved on from that experience. A part of them is still living in it because that event created a strong emotional reaction, and those emotions send a powerful surge of energy through the body and the brain, and over time the body starts getting used to that intensity. It becomes familiar, and without even realizing it, people begin to hold on to that emotions almost like they need them. So they keep thinking the same way, reacting the same way, and even creating situations in their life that reinforce those same feelings because at least it's something they know. At least it feels familiar, and you are safe with familiar, right? So when it finally comes to change, here's what's really happening. Every time they go back to that past event in their mind, their brain and body starts reacting as if it's happening all over again. The same chemicals are being released, the same patterns are getting reinforced, and the same emotional signals are being sent through the body. Now, why does this matter? Is because your body starts operating on autopilot. It reacts based on what it has learned, not what's actually happening right now, okay? It can't really tell the difference between something that's happening outside world and something you are repeatedly thinking about and feeling internally. So from the body's point of view, it's still living in the same past, in the same past experience, not just once in a while, but every single day. And now, and then something even more powerful starts to happen. Those emotions begin to shape your thoughts, and those thoughts create the same emotions all over again. So now you are stuck in this loop where how you feel drives what you think, and what you think keeps reinforcing how you feel. And before even you realize it, your entire state of being is still anchored in the past. And this is where change becomes really, really hard, because real change means not making the same choices you made yesterday. It is not easy. The moment you decide to do something different, it's going to feel uncomfortable and it's going to feel unfamiliar. There's going to be uncertainty, and that discomfort, that's the signal that you're stepping out of what's known. So understand, you have to step out of known to unknown. Familiar is known and unfamiliar is unknown. Your body feels safe, familiar, unsafe, unknown, and unfamiliar. Okay. And here is why it feels so intense. The more you repeat a pattern, the stronger it becomes, until eventually one thought can trigger the entire program. And it's not just the thought, it's the emotion that follows it. If you have a fearful thought, your body responds with anxiety. The moment you feel that anxiety, your brain checks in with your body and goes, yes, this is how we feel. And then you start thinking more thoughts that match that feeling. And just like that, you are pulled right back into the same emotional state you have been in before. And over time, repeating this cycle conditions your body to take over. It starts reacting automatically, almost like it's running the show instead of you. So when you finally try to change, when you step into doing something different, something feels off. You don't feel like your usual self anymore. And that's when the resistance kicks in. It's almost like your body starts pushing back. You have been this way for years. It pushes back, and you know how your body is going to talk to itself. I'll tell you. You've been this way for years, and now you're just going to stop. Really, you'll stop. No more guilt, no more suffering, no more shame. Because to the body, this new version of you feels unfamiliar. It feels uncertain, and anything unfamiliar feels unsafe. So it tries to pull you back to what it already knows, back to what feels predictable, and back to what's familiar, even if it's not what you actually want. Now, the body starts influencing the mind, and what it says is, let's start tomorrow. You're too much like your mother. You'll never change. This isn't gonna work for you. This doesn't feel right. And so, if you respond to that thought as if it was true, the same thought will lead to the same choices, and which will lead to the same behavior, and which will create the same experience and will produce the same emotion. And then your body starts feeding thoughts back to your mind. Maybe let's start tomorrow. This isn't really you. You have always been this way. This won't work. This just doesn't feel right. And it sounds like your own voice, so you believe it. But the moment you accept those thoughts as truth, the pattern continues. That thought shapes your next choice. That choice drives your behavior, and that behavior creates the same experience, and that experience brings back the same emotion. And just like that, you're right back where you started. No change. And this is the paradox. The moment you step into the unknown, it doesn't feel exciting, it feels very uncomfortable. So instead of staying there, most people go back to what they knew, to what was familiar and what felt safe, even if what they know is guilt, stress, or suffering. They still go back to that same pattern and emotion, what feels safe. Because at least that feeling is predictable, at least that feels familiar, and it feels safe. And for most people, the unknown feels scary, not because something is wrong, but simply because it's uncertain. So, what do you do instead? You stop trying to predict your future based on your past, and you start creating it from something new. You begin asking yourself, what do I want to think? How do I want to show up? And when you practice it intentionally and feel it, how you do it is you close your eyes, you see yourself taking those actions, you feel yourself responding in a new way, because when you're fully present in that moment, your mind responds as if it is real, and over time, you start building new patterns, new responses, a new way of being. So now your mind is no longer just replaying the past, it's starting to move you towards a future you have already begun to create. Now, I will explain more in part 3 of the video. Okay? Till then, follow me, comment pattern, and I will share my guide with you. And stay tuned.